Hello everyone, and welcome back to Finance House. Today we're diving into one of the wildest, most jaw-dropping stories in financial history. We're going back to the year 1720, a time of powdered wigs, fledgling empires, and a financial gamble so enormous it almost brought the entire British Empire to its knees. This is the story of the South Sea Bubble. Imagine this. Great Britain is a rising global power, but it's drowning in debt, mostly from expensive wars. The government is desperate for a solution. Enter the South Sea Company. They come to the government with a proposal that sounds almost too good to be true. They say, let us take on your massive national debt. In exchange, give us a monopoly on all trade with the Spanish colonies in South America. The government, seeing a potential golden ticket out of its financial mess, agrees. The public hears South America and immediately thinks of mountains of gold and silver, endless riches just waiting to be claimed. The South Sea Company's plan was actually quite clever on paper. They would swap government debt for shares in their company. Debt holders, instead of getting slow, boring interest payments from the government, would now own a piece of this exciting new trading empire. The promise was intoxicating. Legends of El Dorado, the lost city of gold, filled people's imaginations. Everyone believed that the South Sea Company was about to unlock unimaginable wealth. And so, the frenzy began. The price of South Sea Company stock started to climb, and then it didn't just climb, it exploded. In January of 1720, a single share was worth about £128. By February, it was £175. By March, it shot up to £330. The hype was relentless. Newspapers, coffee houses, and street corners were buzzing with talk of the South Sea Company. Everyone, from aristocrats and politicians to merchants and maids, wanted in. Isaac Newton, one of the greatest minds in history, was an early investor. People sold their homes, their land, their family heirlooms, anything they could, to buy more shares. It seemed like a foolproof way to get rich and get rich fast. The company's directors fanned the flames. They spread exaggerated rumors of lucrative trade deals and mountains of treasure. They even offered loans to people so they could buy more stock. This created a dangerous feedback loop. More borrowing led to more buying, which pushed the stock price even higher, which encouraged even more borrowing. The stock price was no longer connected to the company's actual business prospects. It was purely driven by speculation and a collective belief that the price would keep going up forever. This widespread mania gave rise to other, even more absurd investment schemes, known as bubbles. Companies were started for the most ridiculous reasons. There was a company for carrying on an undertaking of great advantage, but nobody to know what it is. And believe it or not, people actually invested. It was a time of pure, unadulterated financial delirium. By the peak of summer in August 1720, a single share of South Sea stock was trading for an unbelievable £1,000. That's nearly an eightfold increase in just 8 months. The entire nation was caught in a wave of euphoria. But here's the crucial detail, the fatal flaw in this whole grand scheme, the trade with South America. It barely existed. Spain still controlled the colonies, and Britain was often at odds with them. The South Sea Company was only allowed to send one ship a year, and its profits were minimal. The entire valuation of the company was built not on actual earnings, but on a collective dream, a fantasy of future wealth that had no basis in reality. The dream was the entire asset. And like all bubbles, this one was destined to pop. The insiders, the company directors who knew the truth, began to quietly sell their shares at the peak, cashing in their paper fortunes for real gold and silver. As whispers of their selling began to spread, a few nervous investors started to follow suit. Then a few more. Suddenly the floodgates opened. The trickle of selling turned into a torrent. Panic replaced greed. Everyone rushed to sell at once, but there were no buyers left. The very same people who had mortgaged their futures to buy stock at £1,000 were now desperate to sell at any price. The collapse was swift and brutal. By September, the stock price had plummeted back down to £150. Fortunes that had been built in months were wiped out in a matter of weeks. The stories are heartbreaking. Lords and ladies became paupers overnight. Merchants who were once pillars of their community were now bankrupt. Even Sir Isaac Newton, who had sold early for a handsome profit, got swept up in the mania again, reinvested at the top, and lost a fortune, around £20,000, which would be millions today. He famously said, "I can calculate the motion of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of people." The aftermath was a national crisis. The public was furious. They had been ruined, and they wanted someone to blame. The government launched a parliamentary inquiry, which uncovered a web of fraud, bribery, and corruption reaching the highest levels of government and the company itself. Several politicians were disgraced, and the directors of the South Sea Company had their personal estates confiscated to help compensate the victims. The South Sea Bubble was a national trauma, but it also led to crucial, lasting changes. The scandal forced a complete overhaul of financial regulations. The British government, shocked by the scale of the disaster, realized it needed to protect the public from such speculative manias. This event is considered a major catalyst for the development of modern stock market regulation and corporate governance. It was a painful, expensive lesson in the dangers of herd mentality and the difference between genuine investment and pure speculation. The story of the South Sea Bubble serves as a timeless warning. It shows how easily human psychology, our dreams of getting rich quick, our fear of missing out, can create massive, unsustainable bubbles. It's a powerful reminder that when an investment seems too good to be true, it almost certainly is. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. I hope you found this story as fascinating as I do. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to Finance House for more deep dives into the biggest stories in financial history. Hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.